Welcome to blood sugars. Dun, dun, dun. I say that because, like, blood sugars, I always used to think sounded really boring, and it is now literally all I talk about because when it became apparent to me personally and professionally how, and intellectually, actually, just this is the only issue. That's it. This is the only issue. I truly believe that every chronic condition we see in the world today, its roots are in blood sugar imbalance. That's not just me saying that, just, FYI. There are loads and loads of doctors who are now very much corroborating this. And it's because we think of blood sugars in this very, very simplistic way. We kind of think, well, people have eaten, their blood sugars are fine. Oh, people, or they've had a blood sugar check and that's fine. No, the blood sugar check is absolutely not fine. That is not taking into account how hard your pancreas is having to work to stabilize your blood sugars. Your pancreas's job is to stabilize your blood sugars. It's not taking that into account. Our pancreas needs to not be working hard to stabilize our blood sugars. In fact, it needs to almost not be doing that job at all. That's only 5% of the job it's supposed to be doing. So we're now starting to see a shift in the world, in the nutritional world, around this real taking seriously around blood sugars. In fact, for type 1 diabetics, there was this machine that was created, like this little patch that they wear on their arm, and they had to monitor their blood sugars, and it's a continuous glucose monitor, and it was kind of created for diabetics. But what we're starting to see is a huge number of people just using them for health because of this awareness now, that if our blood sugars are unstable, we are creating inflammation in the body. So then we have to look at, well, what creates our blood sugars to be unstable? And this is where we're going to be doing this work. This is why we're talking about it in relation to menopause, because a lot of things make our blood sugars unstable. It's not just about diet. We can have unstable blood sugars. We could become diabetic based on stress alone. And we're going to cover that in this module. We can, as soon as we think about blood sugars as being insulin, have we got enough sugar in our blood to keep us healthy? And then we know that insulin comes in somewhere. We're going to go into all of that. You're going to get all of this understanding. But what people don't talk about are the three other big key blood sugar hormones. We're going to go into them in great depth, but leptin is hugely linked to anxiety. Go Google it. You'll find loads and loads and loads of medical published works about leptin and anxiety. You've got ghrelin, which is to do with hunger, also linked to depression and anxiety. You've got something called cholecystokinin, or CCK, hugely implicated in not only mood, but also gut motility. Now, when we're menopausal, our gut all slows down as those hormones start to change, as we start to get a buildup of hormones, or they change, or they drop off, or do whatever it is they're doing in perimenopause. So gut motility through blood sugars is hugely important and impactive. We then have a situation that as soon as there's an imbalance of things like insulin, it causes an imbalance in things like estrogen. And then there's a connection with, elevated stress hormone having a knock-on effect with progesterone. You're going to learn all of this. All of this is coming over the next few modules. I'm just giving you an overview of why do we talk about blood sugars? Because it's hugely impacted. So stress will impact blood sugars. Eating foods we're intolerant to impacts our blood sugars on a massive scale. Massive scale. Being exposed to toxic chemicals massively can change our blood sugars. In fact, everything can change our blood sugars. So in peri to post menopause, this is where we have to have this knowledge so that we can tighten up everything that we're doing to make sure we are giving our body what it needs to get through this really stressful time in our bodies, actually feeling well.
Some of the big symptoms that menopausal and perimenopausal women talk about: weight gain, anxiety, depression, overwhelm,
brain fog,
fatigue, cravings. All of this has the foundations in blood sugars.
Insomnia, hot flushes, all of it. All of those things, blood sugars. I just honestly can't express it enough. Blood sugars, blood sugar. And the amount of time I'm sat there with a client health history and I'm like, blood sugars, blood sugars. That insomnia, yes, it is to do with the bigger hormones that we're going to be covering later. But we're going to go back to get these foundations in place. And a menopausal transition, we used to call it the change. And, you used to have your great aunts would be going, oh, a little bit of a tropical moment. That's as bad as it got. If you're experiencing hot flushes while you're drenched, not sleeping, all of the situations, horrendous brain fog, can't get out of bed, fatigued beyond belief, it's these foundations aren't in place.
The other thing to mention is that when we look at things like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, these other hormones that we're going to be working with, they can be a longer picture to be dealing with. I mean, cortisol is an instant release. It's from stress, but you probably need to be coaching with that stress for quite a few weeks, maybe months. Blood sugars, we can change now.
Yeah,
so that's why we start. It's another good reason why we start with blood sugars, because we can start to make change for our clients now.
Yeah. If we eat 3 times a day, in 7 days, we have 21 opportunities to change our health. And actually, some of these blood sugar hormones actually get under control within 5 days. So within 5 days, people can see a huge, huge difference, which is so exciting.
Mm-hmm.